Happy Sunday. How's everyone doing today? Sunday, one of my favorite days of the week, and always looking forward to it. Today is the trifecta. It's beautiful because I'm going to be jamming today with the boys. We're going to be rehearsing, and I would say, a crappy Sunday. There's not much sunlight today. It's going to rain most of the day, I think, for the next couple of days, actually. So it's actually great. I get to open my Sunday morning with you guys, and that's always something that I'm super excited about. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to be rehearsing with the boys tonight. That's always great. And because it's raining, I get to stay indoors and practice. I kind of cram last minute when I'm gonna be rehearsing because I like to be prepared, So it gives me an opportunity to brush up and get the fingers nimble. And yeah, I've been playing some music while I'm waiting for you guys this morning. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Addicted to Gear Live. This is where we do our live Sunday show. Those of you that have been here before know how it works, basically. For those of you that are new and joining us for the first time, welcome. Addicted to Gear is all about gear chat, where we basically are the online support group for people that are either gear nerds or addicted to gear and guitars and that kind of thing. And if you like music, you like instruments, and you like gear, then you're definitely in the right place. So I want to welcome you all this beautiful Sunday. This is show number, what are we at now? 113, I believe it is. 113 shows in, and still having a lot of fun doing these shows. I want to thank all of you guys that are regulars here for your support. I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel in all the different ways that you do that, whether it's just, liking the videos, purchasing gear, super chats, telling friends about the show. Every week it looks like we have a few more people in the house participating, and that's always a great sign. The channel's growing and almost, I think we're up to 24,500 subscribers so far, and growing every day. So that's what we like to see. So welcome everybody. Let me say good morning to the people that are already here. Usually I start from the top, or the first ones. Today I'm going to start from the bottom, shake it, just change things up a little bit. So Billy Beers is here, Rico, Ed, Dan, Alan, Gene, Christian, Presley, Vinay, Jeff, who else here? It's me, Don P, Don D. We have, who else do we have here? House of Twang, Paul is here, Steve, Fat Philosopher, hey, Wayne, who else? Wayne, Randy, Octopus Ears. Nice, really nice to see all you guys here and ready for some chat. So as usual, I want to hear about your week. I want to, tell me if it's been a good week or a bad week, what you've been up to, anything new on your end. Don't be shy to jump right in, guys, because an hour goes by pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So if you have anything you want to talk about, any subjects you are interested in sharing with us or discussing this morning, please just jump in and don't be shy. For me, it's been a really, I wouldn't say an uneventful week. There's been some things happening. Obviously, one of the things I want to remind you guys before I forget, this is super important. First of all, I'm happy I saw a lot of you guys entering the contest for the guitar kit giveaway that we were doing and we announced this week. Unfortunately, the entry dates are closed. You had until, I think, the 13th, if I'm not mistaken, to enter for that contest. So I hope all of you did. Unfortunately, it was open only to U.S. citizens. So that's one of the conditions that Guitar Kit World wanted to have there. I guess it costs them less to ship within the United States, which is understandable. It's unfortunate for you guys that are outside of the U.S., but don't worry. Don't fear. There'll be other giveaways that I'm going to be doing on my end, and that'll be open to anybody. So stay tuned for that. The draw is going to be announced tomorrow. right after this, I'm going to be doing a quick video to announce the winners. We have 2 grand prize winners, and it could be you. So I'm happy that that I did see most of you guys enter that contest, and that's really great. So stay tuned for the announcement, and that's going to be one of you is going to walk away with a really cool guitar kit of your choice, and you're going to have a nice project for this early summer. Build something cool in your garage or your shed, whatever it is. And if you haven't already built a cool guitar kit, now's the time to start. Those kits are really nice, and you have everything you basically need to get started. So stay tuned for that. All right. So let's see here. I'm just going to quickly scan some of the comments to see what you guys have been up to. And if you haven't been up to anything and you've been a good boy, I mean, summer's here, so there's a lot of things to do outside for sure. So maybe you've been focusing on that. But I know some of you have done some guitar shopping and stuff like that. Case in point, Gene says that he's got a new guitar day. He's waiting on an SG kit build. My first kit ever. So that's a perfect segue into what we just said in terms of the guitar kit. I find the SG kits are really good because they're not complicated, in my opinion. Once you have, I don't know if it's a bolt-on neck that you're looking at, Gene, or perhaps it's a glued-in neck. Bolt-ons are definitely easier because if you mess up, you can it's hard to mess up a bolt neck, but a glued-in neck is tricky. You want to make sure it's in the right place before that glue hardens. Otherwise, you're done. So just take your time, be careful, and you'll have a really nice kit. And the SGs are nice because the paint job typically on the SGs are not that complicated to do. I don't know if you're going to go with a natural finish or if you're going to go with something a little bit more modern looking. But yeah, it's a good way to get started. I find the SG kits as well as the junior kits are pretty easy. So it's a good place to start. Cool. Very nice, Gene. Very nice. What else? Mark says, I wanted to sneak away from the family and go to this guitar store down here, but didn't have time. Okay, Mark, so you're well, yeah, you can always make some time later on. Just saying you're going out to get a coffee and scope out the stores in the area. Let's see. Jeff says he also has a nice pre-wired lefty harness for the SG. That's what he got yesterday, and I wish Gibson would do it correctly in the first place. This lefty harness, is that like one of those the ones that are mounted on a what do you call that, a PC board, Jeff, or is that just a regular harness, a regular wired harness that you picked up somewhere? Where did you end up getting that harness from? There's a couple of places that make some really nice ones. Yeah, Wally in the box, those spalted kits are really nice. I agree with you. You can really pop the grain on those and do some really nice effects with them. It's something interesting to try out if you have some experience building kits. I got a question. It says, Tony, do you have a Vox AC15C1 1x12 15 watt tube combo amp? Seems like every guitar player has one. I don't have one. Sorry, I don't have one. The Vox amps are interesting to me. I have been tempted to getting one, but it's not like critical for me to have a Vox. I tend to be a Marshall guy, and I do have a Fender, but I kind of like the Marshall tone. The Voxes are great though, and eventually I might maybe get one. The 15s are nice because they're not extremely loud. The 30s might be a little bit too loud, but yeah, maybe eventually I'll probably get one, John. I came really close to getting one at one point. I had somebody had announced an ad for an AC15, and it was a really good price. I think it was he just wanted to get rid of it, and I saw it I contacted the guy because it was a really good deal, and unfortunately he said someone was already on the way to pick it up, so I didn't get a chance to. I told him, I go, look, if I come down right away, can I get it? And he's like, well, first come, first serve. So if you get here before the other guy does, it's yours. So I took off. Unfortunately, it wasn't very close to my home, so I had to drive quite a bit. I got there, rang the doorbell. The guy came out on this balcony. He's like, sorry, dude. And just as he said that, the door opened and the other guy came out with the amplifier in his hands with a big smile on his face. So, it is what it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I think everything happens for a reason. And if I didn't get that amp, maybe it wasn't time. But eventually, the door's always open. Let's see here. Fat Philosopher says he's got a Vox VT40. And House of Twang says, finally sold my Fender Supersonic 22. The original price of $995 is now $2,049 at Long and McQuaid. So House of Twang, let me know why you sold it, and obviously you all want to know what you're replacing it with. I have a Supersonic 22 right there. You can see it. I like the amp a lot. I did a review on the Supersonic and the Fender Deluxe, because at one point I was considering swapping out the 22 and selling the 22 and getting the Deluxe. But after trying them both in the room, I felt that the Supersonic 22 had a lot more to offer in terms of features and flexibility, with the effects loop in the back, the 2 channels, and having them, I have to say, when I did that review, I kind of tried to keep all of the tone knobs kind of the same, and it doesn't really do that amp justice because they don't react exactly the same way. So the Supersonic in the video seemed not as dynamic as the Deluxe sounded, but when you do tweak the Supersonic and put it in its sweet spot, I think it actually kicks quite a bit. So I didn't sell it yet. I still have it. I really haven't found another clean amp that is, let's say, in the price range that I paid the Supersonic with all of the functions that I like that much right now. So I didn't really have an urge to sell. So yeah, tell me what why you sold it and what you're getting in its place. I know you're getting something else, right? Eddie says, I put some Graphtec string saver saddles in a DiMarzio tone zone. In my FGN Telecaster, turned out nice. Those Graphtec string savers are nice. I agree. I have them in one of my guitars as well. I've had those saddles for a long time, and eventually I said I should really use this for something, so I put it in one of my guitars, and they sound nice. They work well, and yeah, I'm happy with them. I think you'll be happy with them too. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Gene says, I'm using a die. Thanks, Tony. So you're going to be dyeing the... yeah, Gene, the dyes are great. If you're using a dye, like a leather dye, I don't know if you're using leather dye or some other type of dyes that you can get from various suppliers. The leather dyes are cool because they're not expensive. You can typically get a bottle for about, I don't know, $7 or $8. They're easy to work with, and they do tint really well. You can get nice colors by mixing some as well, mixing some of the colors as well. One tip I can tell you is that it's always important actually, to raise the grain a few times before you actually do the dye. Raise the grain with some water, sand back, raise it again, sand back. You get an overall nicer finish, and I find it takes the grain, takes the dye nicely. If you want the dye to dry quicker, you can use alcohol instead of water. But generally, water works well. So you know, the ones I've tried with dye, they came out pretty nice. I can't complain. Lane, welcome. I think you're new. I haven't seen your name here before, so nice to see you, buddy. Lane says, let's make Kramer guitars great again. I agree. I mean, I like Kramer guitars. I always did. I'm a Eddie Van Halen fan, so obviously, you know, the name being associated with Eddie is a big factor of why I paid attention to Kramer guitars to begin with. I have two Kramer Beretta Specials that are kind of very inexpensive guitars, but you can easily mod them to make them really nice. I'm not that crazy about what Gibson is doing with some of the new ones, where they're putting the knobs and the switches in strange places. I don't know why they just don't re-release like the typical Beretta, you know, and lower the price on it. Like make a more affordable Beretta with a Floyd on it, and you know, give it to us in a decent price point. But yeah, I like Kramers. I like them a lot. I like the necks on them. Rico wants to know if I ever get or offer a discount code on the Nutbuster. I didn't get a discount code to offer you guys on the Nutbuster, unfortunately, Rico. But I'm considering doing a giveaway on that item. So if you guys have recently watched I think it was a couple of videos back, I did a video on the Nutbuster, which is a device that is designed to help you with guitars that are having issues staying in tune. It's sort of a locking mechanism that gets installed right here, and if you didn't watch that video, go and take a look at it. It's pretty cool. It allows you to kind of stabilize the issues with locking, with tuning, without necessarily having to drill anything into your guitar. So I'm considering doing a giveaway, Rico, on that, and doing a contest. So if you're interested in perhaps getting one of those devices for one of your guitars, stay tuned, because I might just have that giveaway coming up soon. A little. It's one of the many giveaways that I'm going to be doing on this show. So just pay attention, and you have a chance to perhaps win something really cool. Let's see here. Paul says, in response to Wayne, he says, my first guitar I got new in '64 was a Harmony Rocket with a National tube amp with a one knob. I'm not familiar with the Rocket, but one knob sounds pretty cool. Sometimes one knob is maybe all you need. I like those. I like simple. So I get the one knob thing. Jeff says that it's a regular harness, reverse taper pots, 50s wiring. Got it from UK store James, Home of Tone. So thank you for that that shout out to James, Home of Tone. If anybody else needs some harnesses with reverse taper pots, you know where to get it. If you're in the UK, that is. Otherwise, it might be a little expensive for shipping. Eddie Jr. says, I still have my original 84 Pacer. It's still a beast, 40 years old. Yeah, the Pacers were good. Do you guys remember, some of you might be too young to remember this, some of you might not, but Kramer at one point came out with, I think it was a Pacer, or at least it was based on a Pacer. But it had a cool system where it had like 6 individual little knobs for each string, and you could actually do crazy things like do panning of the individual strings, so that you can get like a, you know, kind of a quadraphonic sound out of it. I'm not quite sure how it worked exactly. And I don't think it caught on very much. I did see Eddie Van Halen advertising that at one point in Guitar World magazine or Guitar Player or something like that. But I don't know. They didn't seem to catch on all that much. I'm not surprised. I don't necessarily see too much use for something like that unless you're doing some crazy recording stuff. But in a live situation, that probably wouldn't really fly that well. But you could probably Google it and check it out. It was pretty cool. Interesting idea. Presley says, I scored a fantastic flame maple neck with a rosewood board, 7.25 radius, Craigslist, $200. So stoked, ordered the burgundy mist metallic hardtail body yesterday. Nice. Yeah, if you can get a good quality neck with if you have flame on the neck like that, $200 is a really good price. Grab them. If you're sure the neck is good quality. There's a lot of necks that are coming out of China that I've seen floating around the internet, especially on places like eBay. It's funny because they try to make the necks look like they're flamed, but really what they do is they actually burn the necks. It's really weird. It's like they burn the wood using some technique. I don't know how they actually do it. It kind of looks like flame, but not really. And I got my doubts about those necks. In the long run, who knows if they're gonna warp, if they've actually been dried properly. Necks are, you don't want to skimp on a neck, because what's going to happen if you end up having issues with the truss rod, any kind of warpage, it's hard to fix, and you don't want to go down that road. Beavis says 45 watching and only 17 likes. Come on, you lazy sacks. Hey, Beavis, thank you, buddy. Thank you for, whipping these guys into shape. I appreciate that. Funny comments. I did some shopping too, so I'm going to share a couple of things before we get into it. One thing that I picked up recently was the Echoplex. This is the Echoplex preamp, not the delay, because they do have a delay version of this as well. This is just the preamp. Why did I pick it up? I'm not quite sure. No, I know why I picked it up. First of all, it's only got one knob. As I mentioned, I like stuff that are simple. I actually have the EP Booster by Exotic Effects on my board already. And I was curious about this unit because I wanted to see how different they are. They're kind of based on the same idea, the Echoplex idea. I don't think they sound the same, and I wanted to see which one I would like more. So I might do a shootout between the Echoplex and the EP Booster for you guys, just to see what the difference is there. I like the EP Booster because it's smaller. It does take higher voltage, or you could use a combination of voltage. But the Echoplex has me intrigued. For those of you who don't know, way back they had a tape delay called the Echoplex, and people would plug into it and use it as a delay effect. But they realized that if you turn off the delay effect and you were still plugged into the unit, it did actually affect the tone in a nice way, subtle but nice way. So later on, companies decided, hey, let's take that circuit and put it into a pedal without the delay, and things like this were born. The interesting thing is I usually run my EP Booster at the end of the signal chain, but somebody suggested, and it's a great idea, and I got to try this, because the Echoplex was initially a delay. They suggested to run the Echoplex before the delay in my signal chain, which I didn't think of doing, because typically the delays and the modulation effects go in the effects loop. But they were saying try to put the Echoplex before the delay, and I would have to see whether or not it sounds best in the loop or in front of the amp. I'm assuming it probably would sound better in front of the amp in this particular case, but it would make sense because the Echoplex circuit was kind of made to go with a delay. So I got to try that and experiment with that a little bit more. I haven't had enough time to play around with it, but that is a recent acquisition. And I also picked up something else recently as well, which some of you might already know. I had talked about this a while ago, and I didn't necessarily move on it quickly, but I was looking for a compressor pedal at the time, and it was either there was the exotic version of their compressor, or a lot of people had suggested I go with the Keeley. So I ended up finding a Keeley compressor for a good deal, used obviously, and I picked it up. So I'm going to be playing around with the Keeley compressor and seeing how it works with my pedals. I like this, so far I like it. It has a nice switch here that you can switch between single coil pickups and humbuckers. And it's got a blend, the blend knob, so you can blend the dry signal with the compressed signal. And then you have level, tone, and sustain. And the sustain pedal function works really well. You can actually get quite a bit more sustain when you're using this pedal. It does introduce noise when you're adding a lot of sustain, like really when you're dialing in a lot of sustain. But you know, you got to be delicate with it and blend it in nicely. So I'm stoked to try this. Unfortunately, you know, I haven't been lately. I've been rehearsing with my MG30 from NuX, which is a multi-effects unit, and I've been going through my FR speaker from Headrush. So I haven't really been playing around with my pedal board in a live situation or a rehearsal situation. I've been playing around with it here, but they do sound really, really nice, especially going into my Friedman Dirty Shirley. It just sounds so nice and full, and I like it a lot. So I'm going to be happy to be playing around with those pedals and a few other pedals as well that I have lined up, and they'll probably pop up on a review video eventually as well. John says, I have the Keeley, let me know how you like it. I think it's very noisy. Yeah, I think it is noisy. I think if you go crazy with the sustain knob, that it can get pretty noisy. I agree. You can definitely just throw a noise gate in the signal chain if you wish. I'm not really that concerned about noise. So I don't really mind, but yeah, a little noise gate would do the trick. Alan wants to know, did you ever put an order in for the Fractal? If so, which one? Alan, I'm on the waiting list. I haven't been contacted yet. It's been a few weeks. I assume it's going to be a long time. The way I understand it is that Fractal is basically trying to roll out as many units as they can with the shortage of the chip. That situation is slowed down production quite a bit. So the way it works now is that you have to kind of put your name on a waiting list, and then eventually when your name pops up, when they have one, I guess they contact you, and then if you want it, you place your order, and then if you lose your place in the line, well, you're out of luck. You're gonna have to wait some more. So I put my name on the list. You know, we'll see when I actually get contacted, if I actually ever get contacted. In the meantime, I'm really enjoying my affordable units that I have here. You know, the MG30, I have the Ampero 2 Stomp as well, and I have a unit from Harley Benton as well that I'm playing around with. I do have my other older Amperos that I have here as well, so I have plenty to keep me busy. But I've got to say, I've been really digging the MG30, probably the most out of the bunch. So it's keeping me happy until I get contacted. We'll see. Have you ordered something, or are you on the waiting list, Alan? What's the story? Jeff says, I've used my Echoplex in the loop, set up my lead volume without it, then turn it on below unity gain for my rhythm. So do you find it works best in the loop or in front, Jeff? I'm curious. I'm probably going to try both and see which one I end up liking the most. Lane Wisdom. Also a new name. I don't think I've seen you here before. Maybe you've been lurking in the back. He's asking, what does everyone think about Steve Vai's new Hydra guitar? It's very unique. You know, I think only Steve can pull off these crazy things like that, you know. It's pretty cool. He's definitely out there in terms of his guitar styles, his guitar models. I think, you know, Steve's a great guy. He's a very humble guy. He's great to listen to. He's got a lot of wisdom. He's getting old though, and I think he needs a better hairdresser, because I think his dye job is leaving a lot to be desired. Unfortunately, I've seen him in a couple of videos where, yeah, you can see the roots happening and all that kind of stuff. I think he's, you know, he either needs to go white or gray. I mean, I'm sure he's going gray. You know, let it go natural. It's okay to get old. You know, it's okay. But if you're gonna do a dye job and it doesn't look nice, then, you know, it looks like you're letting yourself go. And I know that's not the case. Steve's, I'm sure he's very, you know, he's very concerned about his physical and physical self and his image and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, just a little tip there. Good morning, St. Brando. Nice to see you, buddy. How's it going? Good job on the stripe paint job that you were doing there. Looks really nice. And the little what do you call that? The decal is always a little bit tricky, but after you do a couple, it becomes easier. Let me just go back here. One other thing I wanted to talk about too, I had on the agenda for today, is that I don't know if you guys saw this, but I often put photos on Instagram, behind the scenes shots and stuff like that. Yesterday I was working on my Strat, which is behind me there. You can see the headstock backwards here. This guy. I was working on getting that guitar set up with a new set of strings. I had to hydrate the neck on it, polish the frets, and most importantly was I was dealing with a scratchy pot, so I had to deox the pots. That was the main reason I wanted to do all that. The strings were okay. They could have stayed on a little bit longer, but I decided, what the hell, change the strings, do all that, and get it back into shape. So I had to pull off the strings, and I posted a short video on Instagram where I was stretching the strings. I was using this little device. I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's a string stretcher. And some of you commented, like, you know, why would you use that? Why don't you just stretch the strings like this, right, with your hands? Well, there's a reason. There's a reason to the madness, and of course I dropped it. You know, there's always something to pick up on the floor. Give me a second. I'm going to lower my seat. All right. So there's always a method to the madness. This little device actually is quite unique. At first, when I got it, I thought, do I really need this? I can just stretch the strings with my fingers, right? But it actually does a better job, much better job. And it's all related to the way it pivots the strings across these two pivot points. So I'm going to just show you what I mean. So basically it goes under the string, and then it pushes, it lifts the string on the front pivot here, and it pushes down the string with the back pivot here. So there's two pivot points. And as you roll this up and down your fretboard, it actually stretches the string all the way down. And then you just take it and you can put it on the other strings, and you know, you can also put it on the very thin string. And somebody was asking me, you know, is it going to break it? It doesn't break it. But what I've noticed is it actually does a better job of stretching the strings. And my theory is because you're rolling it over the entire length of the string. So you're not just stretching it out in one point, because typically when you're pulling it here, all you're really doing is stretching it at the bridge and at the nut, you know. Whereas if you take this and pivot it and roll it up and down, you're basically stretching the entire string. And the reason I know it works better is because once I do that a few times, the strings tend to not go out of tune as easy as they do if I just stretch you with my fingers. So there you go. It's called the string stretcher with an A, Stretcha. You can get this for maybe, I don't know, $3, $4, $5, $6. I don't know how much they cost. I got this a long time ago. I've been using this for years. And yeah, I like it. I swear by it. And it's easier on the fingers too. For those of you who've tried it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't tried it, then give it a shot. You'll see what I mean. I don't bullshit you guys. You know, if I think it's useless, I'll say it's useless. If I think it's good, I'll tell you it's good. In my opinion, it's good. Oh man, gotta take a sip. Yeah, so Charles says the Stretcha works great. I guess Charles has tried it. And Ed too says, I love my Stretcha. So there's a few of you who have it. Hotcakes Man, welcome. I think you're new here too, if I'm not mistaken. Says, my board is an EQ into a Klon, then into the Flamma FX100 into my amp, and I have dialed in some sick tones. I'm actually happy with my tone. Why wouldn't you be happy? You sound like you're surprised. I'm actually happy with my tone. So let me get this straight. So you're going into an EQ first, then into your Klon, then into your Flamma, then to your amp. So you're EQing it right away. As soon as it usually, well, a lot of people, I mean, you have some flexibility in where you want to put your EQ. A lot of people put it towards the end because then they can EQ everything. But your setup seems to be quite simple. So, yeah. If you're getting the tones you like, if you think they're sick and they're what you're looking for, then fantastic. You got to experiment with your board, guys. Don't be afraid. I mean, yes, there's a lot of guidelines as to the best way to set up your boards, but sometimes, you know, you might stumble across something that works pretty good with your particular configuration. I had also posted on my Instagram channel a photo, and some of you had also asked me about that as well. I think it was you, Fat Philosopher. I had posted a picture of a Klon Centaur, and somebody was asking if it was mine. It's not mine. The reason I posted that picture is because it was a photo I stumbled on of a Klon that was signed by John Mayer for a fan. And when he signed it, he actually marked the sweet spot that he was using for his Klon. So I thought it would be cool to share that with you guys, for those of you who have Klons, and, you know, put it in those sweet spot settings and see if you get some nice tones. I actually did it with mine because I do have a Klon clone. And yeah, I gotta admit, it sounds really nice. And I find the Klons typically work best when you already have an amplifier that is a little bit, like maybe not 100% clean, that is already a little bit driven. It tends to sound even better, I find, when I kick in the Klon. So that's why I shared that on Instagram. So you see, if you guys are not following me on Instagram, you're missing out on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So addicted.2to.gear. Instagram, I have it listed on all of my videos, so if you guys are not following me on Instagram, please do. It's always good to continue our conversation when we're outside of the realm of the live show and my regular video reviews, and a lot of stuff happens there, so don't be shy. Alan says, one YouTube guy claims strings don't stretch, they just get seated. I don't agree with that. I don't know what you mean by seated. And they definitely do stretch. So I don't know what YouTuber was talking about this. But yeah, everybody has their own theories. Hotcakes Man says, nobody is ever happy with their tone. That's not true. I think eventually you end up... My theory on that, Hotcakes Man, is this. Is that people are unhappy with their tone because they think that they're far away from the ideal tone. But as you get older and you try a lot of stuff, you really end up realizing that, you know, this is it. This is the best it's going to get. And you know, you have to kind of eventually understand that, you know, yeah, you know, the tone that you have is good. Yeah, it can be tweaked here and there, but you know, a lot of times we just imagine that the tone could be so much better. But you know, after trying a lot of gear and trying a lot of amps, guitars, pedals, and whatnot, I come to realize that, you know, the tone sometimes that we have in our head doesn't exist. So you have to be a little forgiving at times. You know, Fat Philosopher says, as long as I can get a thrash tone, I'm happy. There you go. You know, there you go. Sometimes you just have to be happy, you know. Liptech number 1, I think is new here too. So welcome. Nice to see you guys. We're having a lot of new people here this week. Really great. He says, I'm a bass guitar player, luthier, and still use my index finger and thumb to stretch the strings. That string stretch could help me from hurting my finger and thumb while stretching the strings. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, you know, when you're stretching the high E string, it hurts. You know, it's thin. So yeah, it's definitely a good tool for that. And he says, playing bass hurts enough on my hands, but that's part of the joy. Yeah. You know, you have to take the pain sometimes. No pain, no gain. And round wound strings can tear up the old fingertips. I guess, you know, I'm not a bass player, so I don't know if bass strings also need to be stretched like that, but I would imagine that they do. I don't know if this is designed for bass guitar, because the actual little slot in the bottom of this thing is quite small. It's quite thin, so it's probably, they may have a bass version of this, but it doesn't seem to be, this doesn't seem to be designed for bass from what I can tell, unless you can, you know, file out the notch and make it a little wider for what you need. You could probably use a little fret file and convert that to for bass. You know, I don't see why not. Yeah, Fat Philosopher, my dog can sleep through anything. You guys can hear her snoring in the background, can't you? Listen. Pay attention. Hear that? So loud. But it's like, you know, now it's part of the show. You know, that's my background music. It's okay. It's comforting to me to hear that because, you know, she's getting old. You know, she's 13 years old. She won't be around forever. So I appreciate having her around as much as possible. Davis Music says, it's interesting, loop, the level dial on the front of the amp on full counter clockwise is parallel. The more you turn it, it blends and is fully series all the way clockwise. So I think you're answering, or you're asking a question that I missed because I'm kind of disjointed in terms of that response. So I might have missed what you were talking about earlier, Davis. Did we finally get a response to why the Supersonic was sold and whether or not they decided to pick up something else? I don't know if anybody, if we actually got an answer to that. I was yapping, so please, if you did answer that question, you mind just copying and pasting it at the bottom, please? I'm real curious about that. Yeah, like Darth Vader, exactly. My dog does sound a little bit like Darth Vader. Use the Force. So what's happening with the tube situation? Are you guys stuck and not able to get tubes? I haven't had the need to replace any tubes, so I'm really out of the loop in terms of that. I know there was a lot of talk about tubes being sparse, but I don't know if that's sort of been resolved or not, what the situation is on that. You guys want to give me an update? Any of you purchased tubes or needed tubes in the last little while? Okay, so House of Twang says, I bought the Fender to try. I kept my Hughes and Kettner GM40. The Super is too loud for the bedroom. Yes, I agree. I agree. Thanks for posting that again. I agree. The supersonic is very loud, and I find that if you're playing it low, it doesn't really open up and sound as good as it can. You really need to open that amp up. It's great for live situations. You know, it's great for shows. For the bedroom, it's a little bit challenging. So have you guys heard that? Yeah, if while you guys are answering my tube question, have you guys also heard that what's going on with Spinal Tap? If you guys haven't seen Spinal Tap because maybe you're too young, check it out. Spinal Tap was an old movie, a spoof on a band basically called Spinal Tap, and it was funny. It was a funny movie. And if you like music, you'll get it, you know, especially if you were around during the big hair metal years. So fans of that movie are going to be happy to hear that they're re-releasing, well, not re-releasing, they're remaking Spinal Tap. They're making a sort of a modern follow-up to it, and it's going to be with the same cast. Apparently, it's scheduled for 2024, and it should be cool. It should be interesting to see what what they come up with, and to have a refresh, a reboot on that particular movie. I think it's going to be pretty fun. There's not that many movies geared to music, I find. You know, Dave Grohl came out with that movie. I forget what it's called, but that was unfortunately timed because the drummer passed away shortly after that. So I guess I didn't hear too much about it. You know, I think it was meant to be more of a spoof than anything else. I don't think it was meant to be a really serious movie or anything like that. But it's cool to see movies that are going to be targeting bands, you know. Alan says there's a recent article that Pearl Jam is touring with solid-state Fender amps. Interesting. Well, perhaps the reason for that is the tube issue. Especially in a live situation, I could just imagine how many tubes they go through on a tour. And if the tubes are sparse or scarce, then that could cause a pretty serious issue. I'm surprised that they haven't opted just to go with an XFX or something like that, you know, instead of a Fender solid-state amp or something. But I guess if it works for them, they like it, and they prefer, you know, an amp, a combo, as opposed to a multi-effects unit. Who's to say that's not going to work for them? But I think, pretty sure that's the reason why, is the whole tube situation. Hotcakes Man has an interesting point. He says, how about when one day everything sounds like hot trash and you walk away in disgust, then come back the next day and it sounds great again? That's happened to me many times. Sometimes it's the opposite. You know, something sounds really good and then you come back to it and it's like, it doesn't really sound that good anymore. I think a lot of that has to do with your own perception, your own state of mind that particular day. You know how it is. It's like almost like food, right? One day you'll have a meal and it's like you're hungry, you worked hard that day, and you eat it and it sounds and it tastes wonderful, and you can really absorb all the wonderful flavors. And another time, you know, you might have that meal after you had, you know, too much to drink, or I don't know, you're not feeling in top shape, you're not that hungry or whatever, and you have the same meal and it's like, it's okay, you know. I think it's the same idea psychologically when you're listening to sound, depending on your state of mind. Yeah, that's, you know, regarding what Jason was saying. Yeah, you can be happy with a tone one day and not happy with the next. And I haven't changed any settings. Exactly. I do that all the time, and it's like I've come to realize it's not the equipment. It's the thing absorbing all of that, which is the person. Hey Vox, nice to see you, buddy. Don't worry about being late. You had to fix the tractor. Yeah, you gotta fix the tractor, man. You gotta get those crops done. Um, and Liptech one says my tube amps give me all the tone that I need. I prefer tube as well. I'm in the same scenario as you. Hearing fatigue could be part of the situation for sure. If you're in front of your amp too much, it could be. It's definitely a real thing. But I think it's also more just state of mind. St. Brando says Spinal Tap was amazing. Look at it, but don't touch it. Don't even look at it. Well, do you think they're going to ruin it, St. Brando? I think enough time has gone by that, a whole other generation probably is not aware of that movie. My kids definitely aren't. So it would be cool. When I told my son about it, he's like, "Yeah, sounds cool. Sounds funny." So I'd watch it. I'd watch it with them. Vox says, I heard the Stones are changing their name to the California Raisins. Hey, we can laugh, but they're still doing it. Should they be doing it? I don't know, but they're still doing it. It's funny you bring that up because, I also heard recently that it looks like Michael Anthony spilled the beans, right? Because there's been a lot of rumors about a Van Halen, I don't know what they're calling it now, but I guess it's a tribute tour, for lack of a better term. And there was a lot of speculation, a lot of hearsay. Speculation and hearsay. Can you tell I've been watching the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial like nonstop? I'm starting to use, lawyer terms, speculation, hearsay, objection. I'm getting too involved in these things. Anyways, Michael Anthony has confirmed that he was approached for this tribute tour, which is supposed to be a Van Halen thing. So he spilled the beans accidentally. I guess you can tell who the person is that has loose lips. Sorry, Michael. Anyways, he says that he was approached for that. He says that I think Joe Satriani also mentioned that he was kind of approached for it. He said he was kind of very, very apprehensive about trying to play all the Eddie stuff, no matter how well you play it. People would always say it doesn't sound like Eddie Van Halen, and of course it won't sound like him. It's not. But it's interesting that they're going to be looking at doing something like this. David Lee Roth has also talked about it here and there. And his concern was with all the COVID situation, they would need like 2 people for each position. So I think they were looking at Michael Anthony on bass, the bassist of Metallica as like a backup. For drums, I think they were looking at Alex Van Halen and possibly Tommy Lee, I think it was, that they were looking for there on drums. As far as the singer, Eddie, Dave didn't really mention, but I guess it's kind of understood that it would probably be him and Sammy, even though he didn't mention anything. And yeah, that seems to be like they're trying to go forward with that idea. Whether or not they should, that's a whole different scenario. Some people feel it's just a money grab or whatever, but I don't know. I wonder if Wolfie is going to be considered for a backup bass player or not. It's funny that they mentioned the bassist of Metallica, but I think the bassist of Metallica finally bowed out because he felt that it was kind of a money grab situation and he didn't want to be associated with something like that, or who knows, maybe there's other reasons. But yeah, I mean, with the stuff that we've seen with David and his voice, is it the right time for him to be participating in a tribute band? His voice didn't seem to be very good. there's a whole scenario with Sammy and him, obviously not seeing things eye to eye. Who knows? It's going to be an interesting thing to see if it ever happens. It might never see the light of day. So we'll see. We'll see. At the same time, you know, we're looking at stuff like, you know, I've been watching a lot of the YouTube videos that are floating around regarding Bon Jovi. One of my singers in my band actually went to see Bon Jovi and came back with video, and I was watching it on the phone, and it's like, wow, there's something wrong. We don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with his voice. So I don't know if it's something serious. It could be his hearing, it could be his voice, it could be a combination of things. It could be, you know, not being in shape after not touring for so long, COVID situation, who knows, but definitely doesn't sound like he's able to perform the songs the way they should be, which is sad to see. But he's getting old too, right? So yeah, I have a feeling that if Sammy and Dave are participating in this show, it's gonna be, you know, on stage only, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna be performing at the same time. So probably one will walk up, do their set, will walk away. Someone will lead Dave in, and he'll do his set, and that's that. I don't think they're gonna be hanging out after the show. I agree with Lip Tech. You know, I mean, Van Halen was good when it was young and new and fresh and everything, and you know, it's done. Like, you know, in the famous words of Paul McCartney, and mind you, he didn't actually listen to his words either, I think, but he says you can't reheat a souffle. You know, once it goes down, that's it. It's not going to go back up again. And, you know, I think he understood that about the Beatles, and he didn't attempt to be or to produce music that was meant to sound like the Beatles. He did his own thing, even though it wasn't as, you know, welcomed as the old stuff, and people go to his shows to hear the old stuff, not the new stuff. So, but I guess he understood. It is what it is, and a lot of these older bands don't get it, I think, and they're still trying to do it. John says there's going to be a Van Halen tribute show in Melbourne, Australia on Thursday. Simon Hosford will put on a great show. Check him out playing the first Van Halen album on YouTube. Interesting. I mean, tribute bands are good. I mean, I've been to see a lot of tribute bands. Australian Pink Floyd, I've been to see them a few times. You know, some AC/DC tribute bands, some Stone tribute bands. You know, it's cool, it's good. I mean, but it's, you know, it's not like the real thing. You know, it's still a tribute. The interesting thing for me is the Australian Pink Floyd show that I went to see was really, really good. I mean, I have to say it was like to the T, but at the same time, it was almost too good. You know what I mean? Like when you go see a show, especially if it's the original artist, you want to see them perform the song, but you know, maybe slightly different, you know. Otherwise, you might as well just stay home and listen to the album, right? And the Australian Pink Floyd, in my opinion, was so good. It sounded almost identical to the album. In a way, it was almost like a, well, I'm not gonna say a letdown, but it was kind of, you know, you wanted something more, you know. But I understand they're under pressure to sound as good as they can, to emulate the album as best as they can. So it's almost like if you don't do that, they're gonna say, "Oh, they didn't really sound like Pink Floyd," you know. So it's kind of one of those double-edged swords. Vox Guitars Rock says, "ABBA tribute band. What the fuck? What the f? What the?" When I was in Vegas, there were some pretty nifty Bee Gees tribute bands. I didn't go see the show, but you know, if you're into that kind of thing, you want to listen to dance music. It's you know, it'll get the feet tapping. let's see here. Presley says, I'm doing a tribute band of my original band. There you go. And Paul says, back in the 60s, the Stones were pressured to write and record a hit single every 3 months. They pulled it off. Satisfaction, Paint It Black, Jumping Jack Flash, Can't Always Get What You Want, etc., etc. I remember hearing stories, Paul, of Keith and Mick locking themselves up in a little kitchen to do some songs, and they wouldn't like come out for days unless they had a song. So it might have gotten pretty funky in there after a while. But that's how you do it, man. Blood, sweat, and tears. You gotta crank them out. Liptech says, as long as they do not 3D digitize Eddie and to play like into a 3D hologram Eddie performance, just as in that Wendy Dio did with Ronnie James Dio and the tour with 3D holograms of local. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think they did that for Elvis too. Didn't they do a duet or something? Elvis and someone else, and they had a 3D hologram of Elvis singing. I remember hearing something like that. They can do some amazing stuff today, yeah. I wouldn't want to see that as well, you know. It's like, hey, Cool Tunes, nice to see you, buddy. So it's there's a lot of stuff going on with that. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. If I was given the choice to go see the tribute, I don't know if I'd see it, honestly. Like, I might watch it if it pops up somewhere on YouTube. I might watch just out of curiosity. But to pay money to go see it, I honestly don't feel like I would do it. It's just me. I think Paul Gilbert needs to pay some bills. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Paul Gilbert's Hot Pink 1987 Ibanez Ice Destroyer, he calls it, has showed up on Reverb again. And it's a really cool Ibanez, hot pink, if you like that that shape. And it's only $18,500. So if you want a beautiful hot pink Ibanez owned by Paul himself, you can grab it on Reverb. I guess Paul needs to pay bills. I guess the COVID period was kind of rough on him or something. Or maybe he wants to buy new gear. I guess he figures the time for hot pink guitars is finally over. I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't complain. I have my right behind me there, right there. I have my salmon colored Beretta Special there that I put that I put tiger stripes on. I don't know if you can see it there. So I shouldn't be pointing fingers. Yeah, I think Michael Jackson. That's it too, Alan. Yeah, I think they did that in Vegas with Michael Jackson with the 3D hologram too. Yeah, I think I remember hearing that as well. They can do a lot of stuff today. It's really amazing the stuff that they can do. John says, check out the band Tragedy. They do a Bee Gees and other disco songs in hair metal style. Great versions of those tunes. Interesting. That I gotta check out. I like that kind of stuff. I like when they take songs that are like older dance songs and stuff like that and they metalize them. That's pretty cool. I will check that out. Thanks for the tip. Liptech wants to form a Uriah Heep tribute band here in North Texas. So if you're in Texas, and what do you need, Liptech? You need a bass player, a drummer, what? Singer? Contact Liptech if you're interested. Could work. Hotcakes Man says, I could rock a pink guitar, no issues. You just have to be confident in your manlyhood. That's it, you know. That's why I got that one. I'm like, I don't care. hot pink. I might eventually paint it another color, but for now it's fine. So I don't know. I didn't know about that, but he says Paul Gilbert admits he's living day to day. You know, I'm not that surprised. I mean, you know, you have to kind of reinvent yourself, and you know, certain types of music just are not as commercially viable today. And I don't hear too many Paul Gilbert songs being played on the radio, unfortunately. So unless he's touring, and of course with COVID that became very difficult. I understand the scenario. Fat Philosopher says people gotta let go of the oldie moldy bands and embrace something new. Personally, I think young bands like the Nova Twins are totally awesome. You know, I've had this conversation, Fat Philosopher, with a couple of my band members, and the thing is, like, you know, we play a lot of classic rock, and we've tried over and over again to kind of bring in new music, because we want to be, you know, we want to provide younger people something interesting to listen to that are not necessarily old like us or older like us. The thing is, and you guys could agree with me or disagree with me on this, the thing is, by the time you learn a song that is a new song that's playing on the radio or currently popular, it's no longer playing on the radio or currently popular. So it's like you spend the time learning the song, right? You end up playing, rehearsing it, getting it perfected. And by the time you have an opportunity to play it in front of somebody, it's like it's old stuff and nobody's like interested in it anymore. Do you guys deal with that? Do you guys agree with me on that? Yeah, Liptech, I have the black one too. So he says that looks great. The Kramer Beretta Special, I have the black one. I tricked out in all black. I have the black one too. I have two. I have the Salmon, but I got the black one first. And actually, that's the black one is the one I put the Vega Trem on. If you guys want to go check out the video, I did a video on that. I put the Vega Trem on that, but because it's all black, what I want to do is switch over the Vega Trem that I put on that guitar to a black one, so it's kind of like a stealth, it'll have a stealth look to it, and put the chrome Vega Trem possibly on this guy here. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, but that's something I wanted to do. Beavis says, you guys are going to make me laugh, I know it. Beavis says, nothing wrong with pink. I'm a 42-year-old straight guy covered in tattoos, and hot pink is my favorite color. Nobody said anything about pink being, you know, a straight color or not a straight color. It's just not a lot of people are into those colors. You know, most guitarists, I think, are usually after the standard colors: black, white, sunburst, red. You know, maybe some of them are into some of the more vintagey colors, but pink is not always one of them. Vox says, by the time I learn a new song, the songwriter has died of old age. Yes, I'm slow. So basically, when you learn to play the song, Vox, when you learn how to play the song, you're basically, it's become a classic, is what you're saying, right? That's funny. I went to a guitar show today. 90% of the people were like me, oldie moldy. And you know, there's certain songs that just get people rocking, just get people moving, and a lot of those are classic rock songs. You know, you play any AC/DC song today, it's gonna get the heads bopping. You know, it's gonna get, you know. Saint Brando says, classic rock or die. The big three: Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. Then comes everything else. I agree with the Led Zeppelin. I like Deep Purple. Black Sabbath, yeah, I get that. I get it. With the truth on the music business no longer being as it was in the 80s. Musicians have to learn to create themselves consistently. Yeah, you have to stay in the spotlight because there's too many distractions today. And if you're not constantly on social media or coming out with a new video or, just doing something, you're going to be left in the dust. It's hard. It's really hard. John says, I'm friends with people in 3 different 80s bands. I've seen the 20-year-old go nuts when they hear Jesse's Girl, Summer of 69, and many songs from before they were born. There are a few songs that just do it. I agree. There's great songs. Like even if you're playing in you're trying to bring in a young crowd, if you play something like Taking Care of Business or, these old songs that are not necessarily wow songs, but they're great bar songs, and people like that kind of stuff. Alan says, for new bands, I saw Animals as leaders and Periphery a few years back. I like them a lot as a guitarist, but that kind of music is not for everyone. Oh, man. I'm not going to even repeat that, Presley. That's not very politically correct. We don't want to go there. Dan in New Jersey says Mayor's been sporting pink guitars. There you go. For whatever that's worth. Let's see. Liptech says, do you have tres setters installed on your trem bass guitars? Liptech, I don't even know what that is. What's a tres setter? Can you give me more information on that? Maybe I'm going to learn something new here today. Trem setters. I've heard the word trem setter. I know it's ringing a bell. It's just not ringing it very loudly in my head. There's a lot of things that I come across, and here, I might as well just Google it. Trem setter. Are you talking about the device to be able to do the intonation on Floyd's? Is that what you're referring to here? Trem setter. I'm just Googling it right now. Of course, the link is broken. Okay. Trem setter. Yeah, okay, I see okay, I get it. So it's basically if you want to lock down your trem so that it's not floating. I get it. Yeah, no, I never use that. But I've seen somebody modding their guitars and using a simple door lock. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you take one of those sliding door locks, those little ones that you just slide the little there's like a metal bar that slides into the circular part, just goes in, and then you lock it down. It's very small. They've actually installed that in their guitar instead of a trem setter. Cost them peanuts and does the same thing, and then they can just unlock it and you're in business. So it does essentially the same thing, and I thought that was really interesting. You know what? Paul. I understand. I mean, I totally get it. You have to pay the bills. And those workshops, even though they might seem like you're not worthy of that type of thing, they do spread the word about the artist. They do spread the word about what you do, and people eventually will look into your art and possibly buy your music because of it. So that definitely helps. Plus, you're being paid for it. Pedal demos as well. you know, you need to do anything. It's not easy, man. It really is not easy. Maybe he's giving lessons. Maybe he's, you know, working in the studio. A lot of artists have opted to start doing soundtracks for video games, believe it or not, because it's easier for them to get work. Doing music for video games seems to be more in demand. So, you know, who knows what these artists are doing on their downtime or when they're not in front of a crowd playing a show someplace. But you could be pretty sure they're doing a lot of different things. Okay, I'm falling behind on the chat here. John says, seems like a fancy solution when you can just screw a coin to the front of your guitar. There you go. Yep, indeed. That is, and actually, I'm going to go get that guitar. One sec. Let me put this guitar down. I haven't played that guitar in a while, so I want to. Don't laugh at the shorts, guys. So this is what John was referring to just now. This is my trem setter on this guitar right here. This guy, the little coin. You can just slide it underneath the edge of the tremolo, and you're in business. You know, it's a lot cheaper. Ed was onto something good. This guitar is probably out of tune. Let's see here. Yeah, it is a little bit out of tune. It is a little out of tune, but who cares, right? It's all good. What have you guys been modding your guitars with in the last little while? Have any of you tried anything new on your guitars? Any new devices that I should know about beyond the trem setter? There always seems to be a new gadget out, and a lot of them don't necessarily last that long. They come and go, but it's interesting to know when there's something that is worthwhile that has popped up. And I can't always keep track of all that stuff, but I like to share the information with you guys. By the way, if you guys, any of you guys out there use Guitar Rig Pro, I wanted to share this with you guys because if you do use that product, there's a 50% discount right now happening on Guitar Rig 6 Pro, which is now only $99.50. I don't know if you feel that's still too expensive or not, but you can definitely pick it up and save yourself some money. It was originally $199, so $200 seems a little steep for me, but you know, 100 is better than 200. You can get it while the offer lasts. I don't know how long the offer will last, but if you are interested, you should grab it as soon as you can. It's interesting for any of you doing recording on, you know, on a laptop or anything like that. You can actually get some really nice sounds out of that software. You can, yeah, there's a trem stopper on a Strat Floyd Rose in order to install a detuner. The detuners, you can see I don't have one installed in this guy here, but the detuners need to have a, you can't have a floating bridge when you're using the detuner, unfortunately, because if you have a floating bridge and you pull the detuner in so you can drop the E string to a D, it throws everything out of whack. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be, it's got to be locked down. So that's why if you use a detuner, if you have the coin, you can just slip the coin underneath, then pull out. So it's a, and that's part of the reason why Eddie had it so close. So you can actually just, with your thumb, push it underneath, and with your index finger, pull out the detuna, all in the same motion, you know. I might go back to the detuna. I had one on my other guitars, but I wasn't using it all that much. But on this guitar, I might eventually put one back in. Jeff says, I've been using an EBO lately. I don't know what they're... I know they're ancient, but it's new to me. I was looking at the EBO too. After I saw a band performing the song Heroes, where they have that initial line that keeps going throughout the whole song, you need an EBO for that. So I thought, what the hell, maybe I'll pick one up and fool around with that for a while. I haven't ever owned one. I don't even know how it works, but it seems like a fun little device. You can do some creative stuff on that. I'm pretty sure there was also some songs on the U2 album using the EBO. I think With or Without You, there's a little section in there where there's an EBO section as well. Could be fun. The only other interesting thing that I saw recently is that Cort did announce a new guitar, and maybe we don't have that many Cort fans in the house, but Cort has been making guitars for a lot of other brands that we probably don't even realize. They OEM a lot of guitars, and they released a guitar recently which is called the G290 Fat 2, which is kind of a guitar that I guess is competing with Ibanez, with Charvel, with Sir, you know, those type of other brands. It's an interesting looking guitar in the sense that it has a really nice, they offer it in 3 colors right now. There's a really nice trans black burst. They have an aqua violin burst that looks really nice as well. And they have a bright blue burst. And you do have the nice striping. You can see the wood underneath. All of these this particular guitar comes in with 2 humbuckers, a volume, a tone knob, and a 3-way switch. But they look really nice. Honestly, they look really nice. They're not overly fancy. They have some nice features with the flame maple. They do have the truss rod that is at the bottom of the neck as opposed to up here, kind of like what you would see on a Charvel guitar. They have some what they call VTH77 pickups, which are, I guess they're a little bit more, they call them high output pickups. I don't know how many K they actually rate, but I guess they're able to handle most of the music that you would want to play on a guitar like this. 12-inch radius neck all the way to 15 and 75, so 12 to 1575. It looks like a nice guitar, man. It looks like a really solid guitar. Locking tuners are on that guitar as well. Graph Tech nut as well. So some really nice features. What I like about them, they also have the what they call the luminlay side dots. So the side dots glow in the dark. I like that. Pretty cool. And I believe that guitar is listing right now in Canada for about $1,099. So probably less expensive than the Ibanez guitars, around the same price as or maybe a little bit less expensive than the Silver Sky, definitely much less expensive than the Sir guitars, and the Ibanez guitars that are kind of styled in the same way. So you could check that out. If you're looking at getting a really nice looking guitar that looks like it plays really well and it doesn't cost that much. If you're in the market, check it out. Let's see here. 1 million downloads for 1 million streams. 1 million downloads or 1 million streams. I don't know what that was about. So Presley says chord is fantastic. I tend to agree. The guitars are well made. Some people might disagree. Hey Charlie S, nice to see you, buddy. Better late than never. It's all good. And Eddie Jr. says, speaking of chord, I was looking for a PRS SE24 with Floyd, not released until October 1st. You can probably find a used one, Eddie. Have you checked them? Checked YouTube, Reverb, eBay, Craigslist. And Hotcakes Man says, I have a PRS SE Tremonti coming tomorrow. Cannot wait. So is this the new version or is this an older version? I've tried an older version. I had a Tremonti. I think I did a review of that guitar too, way back when. That particular guitar, the older versions, I found to be a little bit dead sounding. They didn't resonate very well. But I have a feeling that the new ones are going to be much better. So I'm pretty sure you're going to like your Tremonti. I've been eyeing that guitar as well. I'd love to have a Tremonti as well. Eventually, if I can find a new version for a decent price, probably will snag that up as well. John D says, Tony recently changed the middle and bridge pickups on my Fender Nashville Telecaster to the Billy Gibbons Red Devils. Awesome tone. Took a little work to install the bridge. Changed the neck also to reverse wound. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I haven't tried those pickups. Why do you like them? What do you find? Do you find they have more bite? They sound more vintage, more open? What's the scenario on those pickups, John? If you don't mind sharing. All right, guys. Paul says, Court, an American company around since 1960, run by the son of the founder. Both him and his dad are guitar nuts. So the guy keeps up with the guitar scene, not just for biz. He's an addict. Good to know. You know, I think the only thing I don't like about those guitars is the name. Court does not necessarily sound that good. But that's the name. Can't do anything about that. Hey, Paddle Pedal Room, nice to see you, buddy. I enjoyed your show last night as well. It was lots of fun. What's happening with PV? If you guys know, PV is making. I don't know. Are they like in financial trouble right now? It seems like they've been around forever. They've been popping out new products here and there, but I don't see anything really substantial happening on their end at this point. I know they started making a lot of their amps overseas. What's going on? I was hoping to see more things coming out of that company, but things have been quite slow. Gene says Rondo Guitar is a family company too. The Rondo guitars I've tried many years ago, so long ago. Budget guitars at the time. I think maybe they're still budget guitars. Good guitars if you want a mod and you don't want to spend too much money. So yeah, it's good to see companies that are still around that are family run. It's funny, guys, because I went to a local guitar shop the other day and I was considering picking up another Beretta Special. I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy because I already have two, but I figured to get them while the getting's good, the prices are still cheap on those guitars. And I went to pick one up, or at least to look at them, because I have two already. And I grabbed the guitar and it looked good. I looked at the back of the neck, it was terrible. The matching of the front, the guitar had a maple fretboard. The maple in the front was nice. The back was terrible. It had all kinds of discolored lines in it. I mean, I know it's wood and it's not going to be perfect, but my other two guitars don't have that. And yeah, I looked at it and I put it back I just put it back on the wall. And I told the guy, I said, hey, do you have another one of these in the back somewhere? You know, he's like, why? What's wrong with that one? I'm like, have you seen the back of the neck on it? So I showed it to him. He's like, yeah, it's wood. Yeah, I said, I know it's wood, but if you take any of the other ones, they don't look like this one. And he's like, yeah, you're right. You know, it's like, well, you know, I don't have any more. It's the only one I have. So it's like, well, okay, well, you can keep it and I'll keep my money then. So you have to try out these guitars. Go check them out in person, because if you order online, I know a lot of places are selling online that you can actually just order. I would highly suggest go checking them out in person, because you're going to end up getting surprised. You know what I mean? Anyways, it is what it is. You gotta be careful every step you take. The Rondo Music guitar I bought at the time looked a little bit like a Strat. Had 3 single coil pickups. It had a maple neck, and I remember I ended up using the neck as a learning platform to learn how to do my fret jobs. I modified it and played around with it in so many ways. And I think I eventually stripped that body. It had a very, very thick layer of poly. It took me forever to strip that thing down, and it smelled terrible while I was doing it. I probably inhaled a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have been inhaling. And I turned it into, I kind of made it look like an SRV model. And I eventually sold it on eBay. Somebody actually bought it from me, so. All right, guys, I've been yapping for an hour and a half. I think that's about all you guys can take. Am I right? Am I right? There's only so much of Tony you can take on a Sunday morning. Plus, what time is it now? It's 11:30. I'm getting hungry. And I'm going to have to record the video announcing the 2 winners for the guitar kit that I mentioned at the beginning of the Sunday show. I know you guys are itching to see if it's you. So that should be live for tomorrow, because we promised we announced the winners for the guitar kit giveaway tomorrow. So stay tuned on the channel, on the regular Addicted to Gear channel, where I will post the names of the winners. And it's exciting, guys. It's exciting because now that contest is done, we can do another contest. So stay tuned for that. And if you really like the channel, give me a thumbs up, guys, please. It goes a long way. It keeps the YouTube gods happy, and promotes the video a little bit higher in the rankings so other people can see it, and we can grow the channel, especially the live Sunday shows. We have almost we have 57 people here today, almost 60 people. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces. It's really nice to see everybody waking up early on Sundays to spend the morning with me. Who would have guessed that I could be that interesting? But apparently people like what we're showing here. So I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart to me. You're giving me a lot of fun on the Sunday mornings. Usually Sunday mornings are boring. Let's just face it, guys. There's not a lot to do. So I always look forward to my Sundays with you guys, and you guys make it a lot of fun. So thank you, guys. I'm giving you the thumbs up. Hope you guys can do the same for me, and spread the word. Spread the word. We'll have more people in, and it'll be even more fun. Have a great Sunday, guys. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon lunch if you haven't already had it. Enjoy the day as much as you can. Don't forget to pick up a couple of guitars and play. Get the frustrations out, and keep watching the channel, because I'm going to be posting some other really cool videos coming up in the next couple of days. All right? Thumbs up. Love you guys. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.